That was Secluded by Daniel Chartrand, and this is E.S. Wynn of E.S. Wynn's Midnight Writer Podcast. If you'd like to hear more by Daniel Chartrand, I'll be including his link in the video comments section, or the video creator comments section below this video. So check that out, check that link out. And we got a lot of stuff that's been going on here in the last 2 weeks. I took last week off from the podcast. Had a bunch of stuff to work on, a bunch of stuff to prepare, but a lot of stuff came out. We had the Voyage of the Tereshkova Kickstarter, which ended on Saturday the 11th. I've talked about that project a little bit in the past on previous podcasts. Unfortunately, we didn't meet our funding goal, but I was able to find a way to release the project. Well, it's book and it's a game together in one. I found a way to release the project actually for less than I expected, and also to get it out there. I was a little worried I wouldn't be able to get it out there, but I did find a way to do it. And looks like some of the people who pledged money towards the Kickstarter have picked it up so far, and I'm thinking the others will here shortly this week too. That came out just here yesterday. I launched it officially on the 21st. The 21st also happens to be my anniversary. First year anniversary with my wife, so that's pretty cool. So on that day I launched Voyage of the Tereshkova, so that's currently available. You can get that through my publishing company, www.thunderrune.com. That's all one word, only one R. And then on the 17th, which was my birthday, I launched Liber Velum Vocis, which is my other book. So I'm up to 46 books now, coming close to my goal that I've set for myself to have 50 books, more than 50 books published under my main name before I turn 30. So that's exciting. Only 4 more to go before I hit 50, and I'm playing around with some different ideas before that. Right now, I've got a couple projects I'm working on as I get ready to dip into a new one for my main name for E.S. Wynn, because I have a number of for those who haven't listened to all the podcasts, which I don't blame you because there's quite a few of them, but if you haven't listened to all the podcasts, I have all kinds of pen names. I've got more pen names than I can keep track of at this point, and but I'm trying to do as much stuff under my main name, which is E.S. Wynn, as I can. I'm trying to get over 50 books under that name, but right now I'm working with a fellow author for Thunder and Publishing named L.A. Sykes. He's a British crime noir author. I'm working with him on his next book. His breakout novel is a collection of short stories called Through a Shattered Lens I Saw. That's also on Thunderrune's main publishing website, so check that out. But the book I'm helping him get out there right now, is called The Hard Cold Shoulder, and that one should be coming out. Actually, we don't have a specific release date for that one yet, but I'm just about done with the proof copy. I'm getting ready to send that to him here later this week. So we're just waiting on a cover and some preliminary reviews from local publications, and then I should be able to get a release date on that one, and I can put that out there on the podcast for those who are interested. I'm also still looking for musicians. I've had one submission so far, and I asked the guy if I could use it, and he never got back to me. So I'm still looking for musicians. So if you're a musician, or if you know a musician and that would like the publicity, I'm looking for music to go at the front of my show, front of my podcast here, that I can feature, so you can get some extra traffic. And so spread the word about that. Let's see here. Talked about Voyage of the Tereshkova, Liber Velum Vocis. Oh, other projects I'm working on right now. So I talked about L.A. Sykes' new book. This one's not a short story collection. His first one was a short story collection, but the current one, Hard Cold Shoulder, features a character from the short story collection, and it's one contained narrative. Really good stuff. At this point, I've read it all the way through a couple times. Definitely a well-told book. he's got it where it counts. Another project that actually just aired today was I've been doing stuff for Mark Slade's Blackout City podcast, which is awesome. I'll put a link to that in the video author comments section below too, so check that out. The story that aired today is called Darkness and Light, and so that's pretty cool. It's one of the 2 contributions I've made to Blackout City so far. It's definitely a fun project. So if you're a writer and you have any interest in sort of mystery, crime noir, 1960s culture, some of that kind of stuff, bizarre stuff, surreal stuff, stop on by the Blackout City podcast's webpage and check that out, and that you can get in contact with the 2 guys in charge of the project and talk to them about getting your own contribution in there, because I think they're looking for new writers to add to the Joe Smoke mythos. So get in there, check that out, tell your friends, tell your writer friends. Always good to spread the word on these kind of projects. It's a really cool project, and I'd like to see where it goes, and we need writers to take it in a new direction, or take it in a direction, as it were. So check that out. So L.A. Sykes, working with him, working with Mark Slade's Blackout City podcast, still doing audio work for the Dark Dreams podcast, which is a lot of fun. And I've talked about that a few times in the past. That's a lot of fun to get into. Some great stories have come through there, especially in the last couple weeks. Some really interesting stuff, some classic stuff too, which is always good. Mark Slade, the guy who runs it, is really good about securing the rights to some stuff that is classic but not so old that it's archaic. That's one of the main problems I had running some of the magazines I run. Like for example, Yesteryear Fiction. When I was running Yesteryear Fiction, it's a flash fiction magazine. Originally published 1 story every day, and that was a little hard to maintain, because not a lot of people write fantasy flash fiction, it turns out, or at least far fewer than I thought. And so I was probably getting 1 or 2 a month, and trying to run a magazine that had a new episode out every day was well nigh impossible. So I started looking around to see what I could put in the pages of the magazine, and started looking around a lot of public domain works, and that's how I discovered public domain stuff. Yeah, but the problem with public domain stuff is it's all like 1920s and prior. So you start stuffing a magazine with that kind of stuff, and it starts getting real old real fast, because the language is not modern. It's too archaic to it gets old. But Mark Slade, on the other hand, with the Dark Dreams podcast, has managed to secure the rights to some great stories from authors that have been published in larger publications, who are still living even, I think, which is pretty impressive. That requires quite a bit of legwork, in my experience, to talk to people and get them to or get their interest in a project. And I'm enjoying reading the stories, putting them in audio form. So that's a lot of fun, and kudos to him for finding good material to record. He's got a lot of new authors on there too, which is cool. Lots of interesting stuff. I'm also helping Sean Wonjo, is another Thunderoon author. He's kind of an unofficial Thunderoon author right now. He writes stuff that's pretty controversial. So I had to take her. I want to say he. I always want to say he, because the name Sean always makes me think of a he. And anyway, Sean Wonjo, her work. I've worked with. She's still a Thunderoon author, but she's sort of unofficial. I work with her on almost all of her projects, but due to the nature of her work being very controversial and sort of adult themed in nature, can't really put too much support of her. I can't make her like an official Thunderoon author, because that could really jeopardize the. My whole website could get taken down. Because my websites are all put through the Blogger service, which is cool, because you got their $10 a year to run, and with some easy to put on templates, you can get some templates to stick on there that give you a really professional looking website for $10 a year. You can't argue with that. But the main thing is, because it's through the Blogger service, you can't have Google AdSense and also have anything even remotely along the same lines as adult content. So since her work is mature audiences, I had to take some of her stuff. I had to take her stuff off of Thundermoon's webpage, but that's okay because we set her up with her own webpage. And Sean Wonjo currently has 9 books with titles that most of them I can't. I probably shouldn't read on the YouTube video because of their mature titles and somewhat controversial content. But if you want to check out Sean Wonjo's webpage, it's www.seanwonjo.com. I'll put a link to that in the video comments section as well. Like I said, mature audiences only. Be prepared to be shocked. I was. I actually co-authored a book with Sean Wonjo last year called Rods of Mars, which was my first foray into erotica, so that was a lot of fun. I've never actually met Sean in person, but we were able to correspond over the email with concepts and ideas, and wrote stuff together, and I did about most of the editing on that one, and so we both put our name on it, and she gets 50% of the revenue from that, but or 50% of the net, so after taxes and whatnot, which is it's usually the deal I do with all my authors. But anyway, so she's got a couple projects coming up too that I've been helping her edit and format and set up for Cut of the Profits. Things like there's her next book is a poetry book. I think it's coming out. It's coming out this Friday. Coming out Friday morning, I think, is the official launch. That's what's on my calendar, at least. Looking at my calendar while I do this. My to-do list. Friday morning is going to be the release of Sean Wonjo's first poetry collection. It's called Shit from the Fucking Heart. And that's one of her more tame titles. But that's a really interesting one. I read that one. There's some really great poetry in there. Don't let the title fool you. There's some really masterfully written poetry in there. There's a lot of silly stuff, bizarre stuff, really off the wall stuff that you just shake your head when you read, but there is also poetry in there that is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I'll see about arranging a reading of a couple of those pieces, possibly the tamer ones, the ones that aren't too wild or for too mature of audiences. I'll see about reading some of those on a future podcast. I got to run that by Sean before I do that. But anyway, so that's exciting, and then that'll be her 10th book, and then she's got another one, I think, on the schedule. She's supposed to send me the rough draft for that I can edit. I don't know when she's going to send it, but I'm still waiting on that. Once I get the rough draft for her 11th book, which is supposed to be an omnibus edition, that encapsulates her previous 10 books with additional content that isn't available in any of those other books. So that'll be a lot of fun when to read through that and to see that. So let's see. I had 2 other authors on my lineup who were going to send me checks to get in on the publishing process. Unfortunately, both of them got cold feet at the last minute, so those 2 were dropped off of the schedule. But you know, as you can probably guess from my rundown of everything else I've been doing, I'm pretty busy. So you know, it's less money, but it's also less work. So I figure that the money will come. I think last time I talked about the project I was doing for. I may have talked about it. I don't remember if I actually name dropped or not. I had an article come in, or a request for an article from California Freemason magazine, which was pretty cool. They looked me up out of the blue and said, "Hey, we want you to write a history article for us. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I would." And I wrote a 940 some odd word article, historical article, for the California Freemason magazine, which is pretty cool. It has a circulation of like 50,000, which is pretty awesome. to be on board with the magazine with that level of circulation. I think that actually exceeds the circulation of any of the sci-fi magazines that I always sort of lusted after, but knew that I couldn't get into because they're run by corporate whores. But and therefore shall remain nameless. These major sci-fi magazines that I always thought were really awesome, and begrudgingly picked up issues or purchased issues of, so that I could read through the stories that were arranged in there by their corporate whore overlords. But the old issues for those magazines back before it was about milling the next big thing through to the largest audience. The older issues were pretty good, back from the days when you had magazines like Fantastic Stories and Worlds of Tomorrow, some really, and If, some of those really great serial magazines from back in the golden age of sci-fi. That's another thing one of the things that I collect is I have a small collection of golden age, like 1960s, 1970s serials. I've got a little bit of everything, got Galaxy, a couple, probably 5 or 6 of each magazine, and I'd say probably the first 10 or 12 of the Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine, and a few recent analogs and things like that. All kinds of cool stuff. Like I said, Worlds of Tomorrow. I'm looking at the shelf right now, but it's across the room and it's dark, so I can't. I'm just like, I don't remember all of them, But yeah, some great stuff. There's a bookstore in Sacramento that's a used bookstore that I happened to wander into right after someone dropped off a huge load of these classic serials on them. So I got really lucky there. I was able to pick them up at 50 cents a pop, which is pretty cool because I wanted to read them, and I don't have a lot of money. So, but go in there and drop $20, you get 40 issues like that. So that's what I did, and some of the issues I picked up for 50 cents, they retail, or not retail, but they resale on eBay and Amazon for about $5 a pop, especially the early Isaac Asimov's magazine stuff. So that's a pretty good investment. Even just from an investment perspective, that was a smart buy. I actually got another one that was pretty cool like that here recently too. I managed to find a copy of another thing I collect is the Stuart Cowley books, but I only have a couple. I only have 2 right now. I have a third on the way. I was on Amazon today and I found a copy of I think it was Spacecraft or Spaceships 2000 to 2100, which is a book that I used to absolutely adore as a kid. That was in the library at the local elementary school, and I managed to. That one normally retails for $50 to $100. I managed to find a copy with the dust jacket intact on Amazon for $9 today, so that was pretty cool. That one's on the way, and that'll be going on the shelf next to my other 2, Space Wreck and Great Space Battles, which is pretty cool. So that's a nice little investment. I don't know, I probably couldn't offload them for those prices yet, but these are things I plan on keeping 20 to 50 years. So when I'm an old man and I get ready to retire, I'm sure that Space Wreck, Great Space Battles, and Spaceships 2000 to 2100, along with some of these classic Asimovs and stuff, might be worth a nice little bit of cash that I can use to take my wife to a bed and breakfast for a week or something fun like that. I don't know. Something fun like that. That could be a lot of fun. There's this great bed and breakfast that we've been to a few times. Great deal, great place, absolutely beautiful. It's called Howard Creek Ranch. I think I talked about it in one of the previous episodes of the podcast. Howard Creek Ranch, which is over there by Fort Bragg, here in California on the coast on Highway 1. Absolutely beautiful place. Beach access, which is cool. And all their rooms, well, not all their rooms, a lot of their rooms are in an old carriage house, which is literally a carriage house. So it's like a giant barn that's been totally restored and refinished and made into a home, into a really big home, sort of like a mansion-sized home. With the guy that worked on it did everything sort of by hand himself. He actually milled his own redwood logs from fallen trees on the property, and just very arts and crafts style architecture, very eclectic, very beautiful stuff. Absolutely a gorgeous place, surrounded by all kinds of lush fruiting vegetation. We went there last August, and there were more blackberries that were ripe and sweet and delicious than I could eat, and I tried because I love blackberries. I love them quite a lot, and we walked all the way up one side of the blackberry bush hedge that they had around the property, and then back up the other side, and ate our whole fill. Had just stained fingers, stained lips, both of us, both me and my wife, and gathered. We went back to the hotel room and got a couple of bowls that we had brought with us so that we could make soup in the microwave in the middle of the night, stuff like that, and loaded up both bowls with blackberries, and had blackberries with breakfast in the morning. So that was pretty cool. It was absolutely a beautiful place, and the best thing is it's a bed and breakfast. It has beach access. They give you a really good breakfast. Beautiful location, beautiful rooms, warm rooms with soft beds, great people running the place. It's like $100 a night. It's less than the hotels in the area. Absolutely incredible. We there's like, for example, when we went through that Fort Bragg area in the past, there was some crappy rundown hotel called like the Seashell. I don't know what it was called, but it was something like that. It's like $150, $175 a night for a room. Or you can go to Howard Creek for $100. So, the rare time when we do get out to the beach, that's where we go, because that is an awesome place. Highly recommended. Very, just all around awesome place. But I'm getting sidetracked. Let's see. I was talking about investments. How exciting! Yes, this idea of buying, books that I like that also can potentially serve as investments in the future is kind of a new thing to me. I've always bought, used books from bookstores because that's where you usually find the best ones for the best deal, and never really gave much thought to it beyond that until I started working with a friend of mine who works with rare books, like really rare books, and then I realized the difference between a used book and a rare book, like a vintage book that actually might be worth something. So I started looking into that more, and sci-fi isn't really an area that has a lot of vintage books that are worth anything, and I certainly don't have any in my collection that are really outstanding. But I have had a chance to get my hands on and flip through the pages of, and of course then give back some vintage books that are more along the esoteric lines, and those are interesting. There was one that I had a chance to flip through that was a copy of Dante's Inferno, leather bound. I don't know how old it was, but it had these like amazing engraving paintings in it and everything. Absolutely incredible book. I mean, like a it had to be a foot or a foot and a half. No, it was probably a foot and a half square to, or foot and a half to the side. Square shaped. This book, and smelled amazing on the inside. I mean, books smell good usually, but I have never smelled a book like this book, and I think it goes for $150. That particular book that I had a chance to thumb through and look at and smell and take pictures of for a project for this guy. Just truly an outstanding experience to be able to work with these books, unlike anything I've ever done before. And so it's a lot of fun, and so it's a new thing for me. But well, let's see what else is new and exciting that I can address. I'll talk about my birthday. There we go. That was just last week, 17th, Friday. Let's see. Woke up, did some work around the house and on projects and whatnot. Finished Liber Vellum Voces and got all the links plugged in, got it out there, set it up, and then my wife got home about 8 a.m. on that Saturday. Made me an angel food cake, almost from scratch, which is awesome. And angel food cake with some strawberries from the local farmers market, so that was pretty good. And we put together a couple sandwiches and went for a walk by the local river, and sat and fed the ducks and watched the geese. Some of the geese had babies. It was pretty cool, very relaxing. Spent about probably 2 hours walking along the trail out there by the river, and that was really nice. Actually got a chance to look at some of the grapes too. That's another thing that's really exciting, and probably very strange about me is that I love fruiting plants quite a bit. It's a passion that I have only recently discovered. Recently being the last year and a half, 2 years. But there are a ton of blackberry bushes and grapevines out there by the river, and it was a lot of fun to check on their progress in a sense. So see where the grapes were at on the vines in terms of ripeness. They're a long ways off still. They got little tiny green ones. They'll probably be ready in August, late July, early August, something like that. So I'm looking forward to that. But it was good to be able to get away and relax. And when I came back home, she had a box for me from Amazon of some stuff on my Amazon wish list that she picked up. That's one of the things I'm hard to buy for. I've heard most men are, but people tell me, people, my wife and my mother, they say, I want to buy you a gift for your birthday or for Christmas, and but I don't no idea what to get for you. And so I finally settled on putting together an Amazon.com wish list and just kind of dropping shit on there. And whenever anything catches my eye, sort of on a whim, I throw it on the wish list. And so my wife went through the wish list and picked out 3 items, which are all pretty cool. One of them is a game called Suro, and Suro is pretty awesome. It's I'm not quite sure the nationality, so I'm going to make a racial faux pas here and say it's an Asian game. It's an Asian game. I'm sure that it probably says on the instructions, but I'm currently recording a podcast, so I can't really get my butt out of the chair and walk over and flip through the booklet. But it's spelled Tsuro, so check that out on Amazon or eBay or one of those websites, and then you can see for yourself what nationality the game is. But it's a lot of fun. I played it at a party a while ago, and thought this is pretty cool, and put it on the wish list. It's the idea of the game is that everybody has a handful of tiles, and on these tiles are sort of these lines that go in different directions, and there's a board, and everybody places a tile on the board, and everybody has a piece, and when there's a tile in front of your piece has to move along the line, or at least whatever line is connected to the tile it's on, across the tile that's next to it. And it's probably hard to explain here on the podcast, but the idea is to play your tiles smart and to try to get everybody else's piece to go off the board before you do. And it's a real quick game. I played it at a party. It probably took 10 minutes per game to play. A lot of fun. We also were playing with 7 or 8 people, so it was just that quick, two rounds, and that was it. And another thing that was in the box she picked me up was the starter set, the core set for a game called Cards Against Humanity, which is an absolutely hilarious game. Definitely awesome. Definitely worth checking out. Cards Against Humanity, the basic idea is it's a great party game because everybody has a hand of white cards, and then there are black cards. And everybody takes turns drawing a black card and reading it, and then the people in the group look for white cards that will fill in the blank, sort of like Mad Libs in a sense, to finish out the sentence. So, like for example, and it's almost all sort of mature audiences, which is pretty fun. I think that's one of the things that makes it so hilarious is the sort of mature content on it in terms of the answers and the questions. And But like the subtitle for it is it's a party game for horrible people. But it was a lot of fun to play with 11 people because you wouldn't believe some of the combinations that came out of it. I'm trying to think of one in particular, but sort of like you might draw a card that says something like blank with blank is insert celebrity name here's favorite fantasy or whatever, and then all the players will, or like sexual fantasy or whatever, and then all the players will go through their hands and the white cards that are in their hands, and they'll look for words that they or phrases that they can put in those blanks, and they're things like Bubbles a clown, or greased up Matthew McConaughey, or a cooler full of organs, or nipple clamps, stuff that you feel uncomfortable saying it when when you're reading these answer combinations for the card. It's definitely a great game. If you're on the fence about it, if it sounds interesting, if you're thinking, God, who is this guy? What the heck is he, even talking about? This sounds way too weird for me. If at all, you should definitely check this out. Type it in on a Google search, Cards Against Humanity, and you'll get an idea of what it is. And if you're weirded out, you won't be so weirded out once you see what I'm talking about, and probably think that it's just as funny as I do. But and then there was a third thing in the box, which was a light box, which is pretty cool because I've been wanting one of those for a long time. First discovered light boxes. My mother's a college professor and a tattoo artist, and so she started doing tattoos. She needed a light box so that she could take people's designs and put them on transfer paper, so that she could put the design on the skin and sort of work around it. But how awesome is that to be able to have a light box for something like that? So I put on the wish list one of my own, and haven't got a chance to use it yet, but I'm excited about it. So we'll see. It's pretty cool. So things like that, neat stuff. For my mother's birthday, which was the 14th, I went up and saw her, and they've got a ton of mulberry trees up there. It's pretty cool. I haven't seen mulberry trees since I was a little kid, and absolutely delicious mulberries that are grown from a mature tree in a well cared for orchard. High in protein too, man, and great stuff overall. I brought her some baby Meyer lemon trees, which is pretty cool because I love Meyer lemons, and most people I know who do canning and stuff like that love Meyer lemons too, because they're sort of a mellower. I mean, if you get a good crop of Meyer lemons from a good mature Meyer lemon tree, you can almost eat them like an apple, just straight off the tree. Just twist the lemon off the tree, take a big old bite out of it. They're that good. They're sweeter than normal lemons. They're not sour in the same way. They're a little tart, but it's a mellow tart, especially if they've had a chance to sort of sit in the sun a little bit on the tree, of course, not like on the ground, but like hanging from a tree branch. They've had a chance to sort of mellow a little bit in the sun. That's really good. But so that was my birthday. Another thing that happened here recently, actually on the 20th, I was able to serve as Tyler again for my lodge. That was our stated meeting for that for a little bit. We did. It was the awards dinner. They handed out awards to different brothers, and so that was pretty cool. And for the first part, I served as the Tyler. For the second part, I was inside the lodge and had someone else stand in as the Tyler. But that was pretty cool. I'm excited about where all that is going. That's pretty cool too. Another thing that happened that day was the Robotech Kickstarter I've been talking about here and there actually ended. Topped out at 1,420,000 some odd thousand. I couldn't believe it. Their original goal was 70 grand, and they managed to top out at almost $1.5 million. So they almost hit all the stretch goals that they had outlined, which would have been really cool, but that's okay. I mean, their stretch goals went all the way up to I think 1.8 million, that's a lot of money. I mean, they didn't hit 1 million until probably 2 or 3 days out from the end, and to make 400 grand in 3 days. I think the last day they made over 200 grand just on the last day alone, maybe 300 grand. That was mind blowing because they have a counter on the website on Kickstarter that updates every time a new pledge is made, and just watching that thing go up, watching Palladium Books make like $1,000 a minute was just freaking incredible, absolutely amazing. And a lot of that is people putting in additional money at the end to get the add-ons, because they have like the different reward levels that you can pledge at, and then there are also add-ons. So you can set your pledge level. Say you spend like $140, or for one level, or there's another level that's $260, or another level that's $500 or whatever. You drop your money at a certain level, and you set it up. That's your reward level. And then you over pledge by a certain amount, and then they send a survey around later saying which of these add-ons would you like to put your extra funds that you over pledged towards. So that was pretty cool. I'm really happy with the stuff that's in that's at the level that I pledged for, and the 2 add-on kits that I got, or at least ordered. I won't be getting in that stuff till December, but man, am I excited! I'm so excited that I dug out all the old plastic bits and wargaming stuff that I had as a high school kid, and started gluing stuff together that I never glued together, and painting stuff that I never painted, and organizing all of it, and printing out cardstock buildings and stuff like that, and basically preparing the battlefield for the Robotech plastic crack, as it were, that will be coming in the next few months. So I'm looking forward to that. But that was a lot of fun, especially at the end, to watch the money just skyrocket, on Kickstarter. The last hour of it, I was actually eating dinner at the lodge, and I could not help but check my cell phone, check the Kickstarter on my cell phone, even though it was almost out of battery, just to watch the money, just skyrocket. I was just like, hey, and unlocking stretch goals right and left. Hey, there's more stuff for the kit that I ordered, because I got in a level where it unlocks different things as new stretch goals are surpassed. So the more money other people spend, the more stuff I get, which is cool. I like that they do that, because it encourages people to advertise the Kickstarter when there's rewards for advertising it, because with all the stuff they added to the level that I pledged at during the course of the Kickstarter, I got in like on day 2, of 32 days. I got on just like on the very second day. I don't have a lot of money to drop to buy add-ons and stuff like that. I have a very limited budget, but I've got a good network for advertising. So I like that they have stretch goals that when they make a certain amount of money, they unlock for people like me who have time, have the clout, but don't have the money. And so the more we advertise, the more stuff we get, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. So it was addictive to be able to watch that and be a part of that, and make one of my dreams come true. Man, I loved Robotech as a kid, loved Macross, couldn't get enough of it. So it's like a blast from the past. It's really great to be able to get involved with a project like that, and to have that stuff coming. So yeah, so it's it's been a busy couple of weeks. We're halfway through the current week, which is exciting. And what else was I going to talk about? Oh, magazine status. Let's see. Daily Love is at about half of the cushion I normally keep. I normally try to keep a month's in advance cushion for Daily Love, Leaves of Ink, and Linguistic Erosion. But Linguistic Erosion currently is got that month cushion, so it's still accepting submissions. So send stuff in if you've got stuff. But I'm at that point where I can afford to be a little pickier. So if your work has errors, a lot of prominent errors in it, or typographical errors, or formatting errors, or just in general would be a pain in the butt to clean up. This is linguistic erosion, when it gets up to about this point where it's got a full cushion. Sometimes, unless the story's really good, I'll tend to, the ones that are going to take like 20 minutes to pull all the kinks out of, I tend to say, well, better luck next time. So, if you're going to send stuff to Linguistic Erosion, I definitely recommend proofreading it a couple times. The best way to proofread a story to catch all the errors is to read it out loud to yourself. It feels silly as all hell. I had a teacher recommend that to me years ago, and I thought it was silly beyond belief. But he forced everyone in the class to do it. Forced us to read your story out loud, and you would not believe how many grammatical errors you catch just by reading your story out loud to yourself. It's almost as if when you're reading it, on the page, it's going through a different part of your brain than it is when you're reading it out loud. I don't know, but so Linguistic Erosion, of course, is open to submissions. Just make sure you proofread to give yourself the best chance to get in. Daily Love and Daily Love and Leaves of Ink are about halfway full on their cushion, so those ones I'm more likely to pull the errors out of a story if it's good, but always good to proofread, because I don't like having to restructure and reformat and generally dig through for 20 minutes a short story, or a piece of poetry. I've got better things to do, and usually better submissions to work with and work on. So anyway, if you know people, poets, writers, Leaves of Ink, Linguistic Erosion, and Daily Love are all great places to get heard, to get seen, to get read. Another thing that's cool about it is that Daily Love and Leaves of Ink and Linguistic Erosion, actually, all three of them, now that I think about it, all get pretty good traffic, pretty good viewership on a daily basis, and you can include your link or a link to anything you want to advertise that's one of your projects with your submission. So if people like your submission, they can go check out your projects. You can even pimp your projects in your bio. So say, for example, if you're running a poetry blog or something like that, and you'd like to get the word out there about it, just pen up or type up a quick poem or story under 1,000 words, something like that, and send it off to one of my magazines, and put in your bio something like, I run a poetry blog at this web address, and people will see it. They like your submission, they'll come visit your poetry blog, and you'll get more visitors and more viewership. And if you sell books, hey, maybe you'll get more sales that way too. So it's worth a try. The only thing it costs is time, and you have everything to gain. So there's that. So check out those magazines, dailylove.net, leaves-of-ink.com, and linguisticerosion.com. Those are all, you can find links to all of those also on both my main website at www.eswin.com and on the main publishing company website, www.thunderoon1r.com. Thunderoon.com, 1r. There's no, I don't have to explain that 1r is not part of the web address, just that Thunder and Rune are connected as one word with a shared R, the first letter of Rune and the last letter of Thunder. So anyway, so that's quite a few projects I'm working on through Thunderoon Publishing at the moment. Quite a few things on my plate, quite a few things of interest that have been happening lately, all kinds of fun stuff, and not sure what book I'm going to progress into next once I get all this stuff on my table cleared aside. I've got a couple different projects that I'm looking at. I'm looking at picking up I'm looking at picking up where I left off with the Arkenstride series and coalescing that into a single publication. a single book, like an omnibus edition, like I did with Cygnus War. So I'm thinking about doing that at some point this year. Also thinking about, I've got another one that's another universal role-playing resource book that I'm thinking about tinkering with and working on. And I also have another science fiction book called Black Magic, Shotgun Space Babe, which I've been working on since last year. I've also got a few other things like that, but those three are my top three potential things that I'll be jumping into next. I'm kind of in between projects. I'm also playing around with ideas for another book along the same lines as Liber Luminopticon and Liber Velum Voces. So when that one gets underway, and I'll be talking about it, and it'll also be talked about some more when it becomes available for purchase. But so that's about what's going on, and with the publishing company, with current projects and whatnot. Not a lot else to talk about in terms of various things. I'm optimistic about the coming year. If you've listened to previous podcasts, you know that one of the main problems with being an independent author is that not a lot of people are willing to. Well, I wouldn't say not. Let me start over. One of the main problems with being an independent author is visibility. First of all, you have to be able to get onto people's screens, and there is a lot of competition in today's world to get onto people's screens. Second of all, you have to be able to attract their interest, and that takes quite a bit of effort too, being able to attract people's interest, getting them to just look at the fact that you've got something that's out there for them to read, much less purchase. And then beyond that, getting them to care enough to visit, like a magazine, for example, or purchase a book or something like that. So it's I make enough to pay the bills, as it were. And like I said, if you've listened to a previous podcast, you know that my bills are going to be going up next year, and I'm hoping to sort of either boost the funds that I get through my publishing company between now and then to be able to cover the additional cost of my student loan, which I actually got from a technical college. There's a quick rundown for those who might be just now tuning in to the podcast for the first time. My student loan is not something I got by irresponsibly pursuing a degree in English. No, the student loan I got for going to a technical school and trying to make a white collar, job, or trying to pursue a white collar, white picket fence, ordinary lifestyle that made my family happy, and didn't get anything out of it except for a student loan, because the school was not able to deliver on its end of the deal, which was providing turboprop aircraft for me to train on so that I could become an airline pilot and afford the student loan bill, which I'm currently paying. But because China pulled its contracts with that school, or at least I think it was the Chinese military, pulled its contracts with that school overnight, gave them the finger, and so the school gave the students the finger, and I'm still weathering that. But not to dwell on these things, and if you've been listening to the podcast all the way through, I don't want to bore you with details you already know about. So I am optimistic about the future. I'm optimistic about what will happen if I can't make those bills too. Because currently it is a full-time job running the publishing company, and it's a full-time job that I love, and it's a full-time job I'd like to be able to continue doing. But between the student loan and corporate restructuring that is actually in progress, where my wife works, it's going to be an interesting 6 months to a year to see what happens and to see where I go and what I do. I'm going to hang on as long as I can with all my projects. Earlier this year, I condensed a lot of stuff that I had on my plate in terms of projects, and I'm still, giving it my all for the rest of the year. Here's hoping I'm not going to have to axe too many more projects if I got to go work at McDonald's. It's just the long and short of it. But that's worst case scenario. Like I said, pretty optimistic. There's some things I can't talk about that are on the horizon as potential sources of income for both myself and my wife. Can't talk about them because of in some of the cases, some of them contractual obligations. I'm literally not allowed to talk about it because they don't want the hype for a project that could be vaporware. But if it's not vaporware, I'll be able to tell you all about it, so that'll be pretty cool. Things like that. Don't want to give out too many personal details in terms of where I will be working and where my wife may be working, and things like that. Just like sort of throwing that out on the internet. It's enough to say that we live in the Sacramento area, and there are opportunities that are perfectly legal and quite exciting that are in the Sacramento area and potentially other states as well. So we may be moving. We'll see. But different exciting things like that on the horizon. I'm much more optimistic than I have been earlier this year, so that's good. Hoping I don't have to close down anything else. I like doing the podcasts. I like writing and releasing books. I like running the magazines. I like everything that I'm doing, and with a little luck, I'll be able to continue doing it. But I don't know. We'll see where I am in 6 months. Fair warning. How's that sound? I'll still have the magazines. I scaled those back down to a manageable level here at the beginning of the year, and I've got it down to a system now. It only takes a few hours a week to maintain the magazines, so those will always be there, so you can feel safe submitting to Daily Love, Leaves of Ink, and Linguistic Erosion. And like I said, other projects, I'll continue to do them while the current economic model for the household is in play. But I'm not sure what projects I may have to axe come December or potentially next April. But that's still a long ways off. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm optimistic, as I said several times already. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about how optimistic I am. But it feels good to feel good for... I haven't felt this good for the whole year. So, things are good. Things are happening. I like that. But I don't have a lot else to talk about, so I think I'm going to cut it here. Get some chores done. Maybe put a few more words in on a project or two that I have. A few new words on projects that I'm thinking about picking up. Maybe make up my mind as to what project I'm going to do next, and wind down for the day. So this has been the Midnight Rider podcast. I am E.S. Wynn. I call it the Midnight Rider podcast because of the fact that it is a podcast that I do, and I'm a writer, or an author rather, but a writer who works all night and sleeps all day. So I'm the Midnight Rider, and this is my podcast. When the article that I wrote for California Freemason comes out, and whenever any product that I write, or any book that I write, hits the shelves, or any book that I'm involved with hits the shelves, or any other project, you can be sure that you'll hear about it here. And so that's what makes it exciting. And, check out some of the links in the video comments section. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night or whatever it is where you are when you hear this. So take care, and you'll probably hear another podcast from me sometime next week or the week after. All right.